everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Unwrapped Leader. I'm excited to be here with everybody and our fantastic partner in crime. I'm Dracy Dewar and
Teisha Dorianna.
Okay, I screwed that up totally again, but let's just keep rolling with it. We promise you to be raw, real, and relevant and share about the new network marketing in unwrapping your gifts and being a gifted leader. So today our topic is about branding. And I have to say this one is probably, well, we love all of the topics we're sharing with you. We are so heartfelt and passionate about it. But Teisha and I have been talking about how much we love this personal branding and why it is so dear to our heart, because branding is all about you and you are our favorite topic. And so I just probably really set up a little bit about myself personally. I feel like branding to me is like giving a kid a coloring book and a set of crayons and getting to have some fun. And when I first kind of got into personal branding, I think it was more like about 10 years ago. I took a sabbatical and I had my kids and I went back to one of my hometowns in Canada in Lloydminster, and I had a year off with my kids. I bought a house, renovated, but I actually got what was called a job, an actual job, while I was doing that. And I actually worked for a branding company. It was called Iron Jet. And all the things I got to do was around making businesses look good. In other words, we actually would Botox your business, give it a facelift, make it look good. And so I kind of really got passionate about branding way back then. But then as the years went on into my network marketing business and being able to see what Teisha has done with her business in really making intentions into her personal branding, she started to inspire me. And so I used social media as a place to really showcase and sell my lifestyle, being a network marketer, and, you know, just how I got to travel and the flexibility and all those fantastic things. But I never really took social media as a place to put intention on that. There was so much more to our network marketing business. And when a year ago, when Teisha and I came together and we started talking about it, she talked about what was brand pillars. And when she helped me really extract what my brand pillars were, that changed everything that I have to do now in my personal branding and what we're here to share with you. So what we're going to talk about today is the reasons branding is important, some mistakes that you don't want to make as the 4 V's to personal branding. And then Teisha's going to really unwrap the brand pillars for us. So why don't we just get started? And first of all, before Teisha, can you just share, like, again, I, watched you just really put a lot of intention into branding. And I just loved what you were doing with your image and the message you were sharing. What actually got you into branding in the network marketing space? Because you really are a founder, I guess a driver of, really showcasing what you can do with branding. So can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure. So when I got started in the network marketing industry, I was a full-time university student in my elementary education degree at the time. And I just remember reading an article telling me that if you want to be good at network marketing, something you want to be really good at is attraction marketing and learning how to market your business properly, because that's something that a lot of people lack, is the knowledge behind how to market like your products properly, how to market yourself. So I remember making a commitment to myself. Every single day, I would put in 30 minutes of development in anything and everything marketing. I would either maybe search a podcast one day. I would search for these, anything marketing related. I would look up YouTube videos, search blog posts, anything I could read, listen to, watch, basically just to learn a bit more. And I remember making a list of things that I wanted to start implementing in my business, and just ways that I could better market myself and my business. Because when after I think my first year in the business, that's when I knew how passionate I was about it. And I was coming to an end of my education degree. And that's when I realized, or I was trying to decide what I wanted to do when I graduated. And if you guys listen to any of our first episodes, you know that I chose the network marketing industry full time. So I knew I wanted to be good at this. So I started just putting in that work. I got a mentor and, two mentors. I did a one-on-one mentorship with Melanie and Katie from Chic Influencer. And I remember they were telling me that I should just start my YouTube channel, because I talked about wanting to do something like that. And I just remember, like, wanting to do it, but just being scared to start. And so I just started, and I knew that if I could just teach people more about the network marketing industry, how to properly market their products, how to properly market themselves, that people would also not only become, attracted to the information that I was giving and what I was offering, but that would also attract people to my business as well, right? I'm showing up as someone, as an expert in the field, knowing what I'm talking about. And I remember too thinking that in the opposite way, I remember seeing Katie and Melanie being experts in their field. They're in the network marketing company of Beachbody. And I remember thinking, like, they know what they're talking about. Like, that would be an amazing upline to sign up under. And they knew what they were doing. They taught other people. And I just wanted to be of service to everyone. I wanted to help people on my team. I wanted to help people off my team. And I had people also asking me questions within my company, outside of my company. And I just wanted to be there to help no matter who it was. So that's kind of how my journey got started, just with marketing and wanting to learn more and so on.
Well, again, it shows that branding with intention to serve versus sell, the difference it makes. And I remember when you made your first podcast, or your first YouTube videos, and they're amazing. I still think if anybody's watching this right now, go to Teisha Dorianna, Spilling the Tea, because they are really great YouTube videos and they are very informative. And I think a lot of people get caught up on, being the expert. And a lot of people think, but I'm not an expert. And I think when we turn the word, I agree, I believe, being an expert, but I think if people can turn the word from expert to experience, you don't have to be the expert, but you have to have some experience and sharing that experience. And as long as you're one step up from the others, you're already going to teach someone something they didn't know. And I really believe you were brave. I admire you for that, and very bold for doing that. Well, I'm going to share this quote. And this quote has always inspired me, and it's probably inspired me to take on our branding section as one of our pillars. But your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, but how you leave people feeling after they've experienced you is your trademark. And Teisha, that is something you've done, is you've created a fantastic trademark, Teisha Dorianna. And now us being able to turn this into the Unwrapped Leader and even take it to next level for people. So here's some things you did say. The powerful word network marketing. So let's break that down. Network is, yes, we go out and network with people. But then the second word is marketing. And I don't think enough people take marketing as serious as they should in the network marketing space. And so that's where, if you can take the time, like you said, spending a half hour a day training and studying on the marketing side of your business, just like social media, just like going onto Instagram, and there's a wealth of information that you can learn on personal branding and social media. And so that's where marketing comes in. And that's why it's so important for everybody here on this call, whether you're in network marketing or just have a small business and you're wanting to get your space or your idea out there, how important it is to do marketing. So here's 5 really great reasons why it is so important to do personal branding. Number 1 is it inputs trust. And just as you were saying, the more we got to know your smile, your energy, as well as the information you had to share with people, gives people more trust. It also builds connection. And building connection, again, comes back to that community. And the other one is it builds credibility. And what you've been doing with creating your YouTube channel and us doing our podcast and doing our book really brings credibility to our information and what we have to share. And that's why I know you and I, one of our big things is we want to encourage people out there to be better at not only their branding, but being better at their own, being an author of their own story, and being able to start even writing their own stories or writing what they have to say and share, because we want to get that out to the world and how they can become an author of their own story as well. So when you do these sort of things, it helps build confidence. And I really noticed the confidence it built in you by you even doing those YouTube videos and learning how to do that. And then most importantly, it gives authenticity. It makes you unique, and it allows people to really get to know you. So those are some of the things, but also with some of these things, there's mistakes that happen along the way. Now, please don't take these mistakes as real big no-nos, but we take them as something so you can learn, because I know we need to make mistakes to be able to learn and grow. We only hope that we can eliminate some of those mistakes for you. But I know here's just a few that Teisha's going to share with you. Teisha, please share. And is there anything you wanted to add into the importance of branding?
Yeah, really quickly before I get into the mistake, something that just came to mind when you were talking about not only just, being an expert, but being seen as an expert can be very different. Like I still look at myself and I don't think at all that I'm an expert in marketing. I still feel like I have so much to learn. I'm a lifelong learner, but it's actually crazy. If you want to be seen as something, or you want, like, even leadership, you want to become a leader, you just have to start putting in the actions for it. So me starting like my YouTube channel, I wasn't doing that because I was already an expert. What that did was actually help me, like Dracy just said, the 5 reasons branding is important. Honestly, it helped me gain that confidence in myself. It gave me that authenticity, and it also helped build my credibility, and it, helped people see me as that. So if it's like, if you're looking to get into leadership, and, become a leader in your business, whether that's like a rank in your business, it all comes down to those actions. And eventually, you're going to be seen as that when you could just start putting in the actions right now of a leader, right? You're already a leader. It's not about a rank in your business. It's about the actions that you put into it. So, I still think I'm a lifelong learner. I'm constantly learning new things. And one day, I don't know, it's hard for me to even say if I'll ever be an expert, because there's always new things to learn. And that's just what I love about this business, is that you're just, you're a lifelong learner and you're constantly learning new things. So those 5 reasons just fell really perfectly into that whole story, I felt. And so, yeah, getting into the 3 mistakes that people make. The first one is having an incongruent message. So basically saying one thing and doing another. It is so important that you are walking the talk. And if you're all talk and no action, your branding and your message is just going to be out of alignment. Like, honestly, something that always grinded my gears is when someone would tell me to do something and then I noticed they weren't doing it themselves. We want to lead by example, and we want people to see that, what we're saying is working for us, and what we're saying is also what we're doing. So it's super important. Just, keep that in line. Do what you say you're going to do what you say you stand for. And just the more you could be yourself, the more you could be authentic, the better. Because if you're trying to be, and that actually brings me to my that's my third one, but I'll go into my second one because it's a good leeway, is just branding yourself to be like someone else. That's such a huge mistake, because the more that you could just be yourself and be authentic, the easier it's going to be. It becomes so difficult when you try and be someone else, or when you try and compare yourself to someone else, right? Because no one could be a better version of you than yourself, and vice versa, right? No one's going to be, if someone's trying to copy you, like, you do it best. You do you. And your story is always going to be the most powerful. When we first get started in this, and we're trying to give maybe examples of how the product is helpful, how our programs are helpful, it's always great to have a personal story, but sometimes we don't have that at the beginning. So we encourage people to share other people's stories, which is still fantastic. Stories are amazing, whether it's yours or someone else's. But the most powerful, and when you could really step into your brand and discover what that is when you have your own story. So remember that. Your story is not going to beat anyone's. Not one story is more important than the other, because they're all going to relate to people differently. And so when you get into that comparison game where you're noticing someone doing something and you're wondering, I'm doing the same thing, why am I not getting the same results? Everyone's journey is going to look different. How I got into leadership is a million times different than how all the leaders I've promoted on my team got into leadership. And I recognize that. And I tell them that every day. People who are in leadership, people who are trying to step up into leadership, I tell them my journey is not going to look anything like yours. Her journey is not going to look anything like yours. Yours is only going to look like yours. So you just need to, do what's best for you. Just, stay authentic to yourself. And that third mistake that we're talking about is branding with intentions to sell. Selling will be the result of you choosing service, of you just, being there for someone to help them with their needs. And it's so important to just fall in love with the process and just be of service.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And one of the words that you brought up, and I feel we're all guilty of this, and it comes down to our mindset, and that is the word compare. Like, because there's so much noise, there's so much on Instagram and Facebook or social media and TikTok and everything. Like, you can be bombarded, and you can look at it as almost being very overwhelming, and it can actually paralyze you. And that's why it's so important to take it. And I call it those 3 I's. It's your intentions, the impact, as well as the image. And when you actually take time to actually go through what is the intentions that you have. And when we talked about intentions to serve versus sell, and when I talk about serve, this is where, again, how do you want to be seen as What do you want people to remember you by? And that's when you did the brand pillars with me, that really helped unpack my intentions. And then the impact that you really want to make, the impact, like you and I, Teisha, like being in the industry for 30 years and yourself being a young network marketer, the impact we want to make is people to know that this is a real profession. And you can learn this profession based on the gifts you have inside and how we can unwrap them, and that this industry is a gift. And there's so many fantastic gifts, and how you totally can unwrap each one of those gifts yourself personally. That's the impact we want to make. We want to get that message out there. So when you're thinking of yourself personally, what intentions do you want to make and what impact you want to make? That in itself, you cannot help but become successful, because you're helping others rise to success in that. And then when we talk about the image again comes down to how people want to see you. And that's where we come with the 5 V's and the 4 V's. This is the time. This is why it's so important to take time now on that. Write down your intentions, write down impact, write down the image you want to create, and then now work through these 4 V's. And the 4 V's is, number one is your vision. You need to really craft a vision of what you want to achieve. It comes down to your goals. It comes down to, again, the impact that you want to make. And when I do my coaching on these V's and working on the personal branding section, like we did this workbook together, Teisha and I, we can't wait to share this workbook with you because it really helps you. And those that I've been coaching on this, just doing these exercises, you unpack so much. And the first time you do it, it's almost a little bit, it's a bit confusing. You're not really sure where you want to go. But when you take the time and you really start to think about it, even myself and doing this is really what's unwrapped the Leader book and podcast by doing what we've been doing. But think of that vision. And I always say, take your 5 years. If you could see yourself in 5 years from now, who do you want to be? And what does that look like? What does your community look like? As well as just thinking of your own personal brand in that. So that starts with vision. And it comes down to, like they say, doing a vision board. It all lines up with your personal brand. But then the next one is your values. And again, what things do you value? Now, I value personal growth. I value flexibility. I value being my own boss. And I value helping new people be brave and build confidence. So those are things that are really high in my values. Now, of course, my family's in my highest values, creating magic memories. But I think you get the point of why it's important to write down your values. So it helps you when you're building your brand on the message, because these are the things that want to line up. Is the things that you are saying lining up with the things that you are doing. And that's when I come down to the voice, things you're saying lining up with your values. But the other thing I wanted to talk about values is, how do you bring value? And so when you actually see Teisha's Instagram or any of her Facebook, or even mine as I'm unwrapping my brand pillars, is how I'm bringing value, how we're educating, empowering, and even entertaining. Like, this is, again, that doing that one brave thing every day. And I think that was probably the hardest thing, was being brave on social media. Like, my nature is brave, but again, it's a whole different level being brave on social media. And because again, you're learning. And this is what inspires people, is them seeing you going from the here to here, seeing the bridge, seeing your growth. So don't be afraid to share that growth, because that growth online is what inspires other people in that sense. And then the other one is the visuals. This is the 4th V, is your visuals. Again, what does it look like? And this is where you get to have fun with your personal brand. Your colors, they mean things. They, finding inspiration, just those kind of things. So when you think of it, put it together: your voice, your visuals, your values, and your vision, and take the time to unpack that. The other thing I kind of really wanted to share on that before we move is when you're creating your brand, coming down to, again, being of service. So I want you to take the word serve in itself. When you're creating content, if you keep your content around the word serve being being solutions, finding problem solving, giving social proof. The E happens to be how you educate or empower, or even entertain. The R is you being real and raw and relevant, which is what we've dedicated ourselves to doing with you. But also the R could be revealing behind the scenes of things that you do. And again, the V comes down to, as we talked about, the vision and the values and that, but also being vulnerable. And that, I feel, for me, was something I had to work on, was just to be vulnerable around the social media side. With experience and doing what you do, you kind of become you feel like an expert in the industry, but you're no expert. Like we were talking about, you're constantly doing new things, you're constantly learning new. So when you show that vulnerability to your community, it becomes even more empowering. So I encourage you guys to do that one brave thing and be vulnerable. And then the E in serve is to embrace your quirks. And I think this is I'm a klutz by nature. And so me embracing my quirks in that sense, and just little things like that, watching Teisha just being super cool and, working out and sharing her stuff. She loves her sushi and her cats, like she's sharing her authentic self in there. And so I encourage you to think of how you can serve when it comes to creating content, and how you can serve when it comes to creating your personal brand. So moving on, Teisha, why don't we talk about these brand pillars? Because when you really brought that to my attention, it's changed everything that I've done in my personal branding and where we are today. So I really appreciate that. So if you can share, please.
Yeah. So brand pillars are one of my favorite things to talk about. And when I was able to discover mine, that's when I felt I was able to just come up with never ending content. When you see those posts, like maybe at the beginning of your network marketing journey, and you're trying to be successful in the business, and you see all these people that you follow for inspiration that motivate you, and you see them making these quality posts every single day. And you're just like, how are they coming up with this stuff? Finding your brand pillars, and what Dracy said, a great start is identifying those 4 V's. That's a really great start. But finding your brand pillars, that's going to help you. The V's are going to help you find your brand pillars, but it's going to help you come up with unlimited content for yourself, and just really help you, authentically be yourself. And just, that those 5 reasons, coming back to those 5 reasons branding are so important. It's going to help you gain confidence in yourself, gain that credibility, create that connection with people, because people are really going to start to see you for you. So what I, was helping Dracy with when I was helping her find these brand pillars was the goal is to identify 3 to 5 brand pillars. You might have a bit more, you might have a bit less, and that's okay. You might even start with 2 of them, and you might, grow into 3 or 4. The more that you learn and grow in your business. But the goal is to come up with 3 to 5 pillars that you can create content around every single week. So step 1 is to write down everything that brings you joy. I want you to think of 30 plus words. You want to have at least 30 of things that just bring you joy in your life. And these are things that are a part of you. These could be a feeling, anything that comes to mind when I tell you what brings you joy, and you just start free writing. Write that down. Some examples could be maybe farm living. Perhaps you live on a farm and that's a big part of your life. Another one could be mom life. Maybe you're a new mom. Maybe you're just, you've been a mom for a while and that's a big part of your life. Put down mom, maybe you're a mental health advocate. I consider myself one, and that's part of my brand pillars is mental health awareness. If that's something that's important to you, or if there's something else, a different cause that's very important to you, jot that down. Maybe health and wellness. That's, I feel like I could have so many brand pillars because there's so many things that I love, but I'm going to help you narrow them down. But again, maybe health and wellness is something that's important to you, whether you go to the gym, you're really focused on healthy eating, diet, stuff like that. Like think of things that you're already naturally sharing with people. It might not even be online yet, but what you give a lot of advice about, or what you love to talk about, right? So jot down those kind of things. And then there's sports, there's baking, anything that comes to mind that brings you joy. I want you to jot that down. Once you have that step complete, step 2 is to start grouping words that are similar so you can create one pillar. So you might start to notice that you put something like, oh, I love sports. And then, oh, I also love going to the gym. And I also love, eating healthy. Well, you might just have a one pillar that you encompass as health, right? And then all of those things underneath it, sports might be a part of your health, and maybe healthy eating is a part of that health pillar, right? So those are going to be sub pillars. So start to group words. Some of them might not have a spot, and maybe it's just not a big enough deal in your life to be a solid pillar. But just do your best to group things. And if you can get 3 or 4 words together that it's something that you really love, then maybe that's going to be one of your pillars. So I always say at least one pillar should be in line with your industry, especially if you are trying to have success in network marketing. So just for example here, like I have my business is called Subpology. So I actually have a pillar that's called business, and then underneath it I have subcategories or subpillars, you could call them, because just business is very broad. But then when you break it down, for example, one of my subpillars to business is Subpology, because I have my Subpology business. And again, you could have subpillars under that. There's so much to say about my business. I could talk about my products, I could talk about my opportunity, I could talk about my programs, I could talk about the community. There is so much to talk about. And that's how you create that never ending content, is just constantly having subcategories, subpillars underneath it. So after you group the words, you come up with maybe 3 to 5 pillars, somewhere in that area. The next thing you want to do is actually write down your story for each one. So if one of your pillars is business, I want you to write down your story. What kind of got you interested in this? Why did you get started? How has your journey, became a thing? And it's almost similar to when me and Dracy just started writing this book. We just wrote everything we knew about these topics. These were just topics that were very important to us, every single one of our chapters. And mine, we talked about this before, but mine is very storytelling. Dracy's is very practical. And then we kind of swapped at, the second half of the book. Dracy becomes very much more storytelling. I become more practical. And we're just kind of bouncing off each other. But the stories have been great ways for me and for us to discover the Unwrapped Leaders brand pillars. That's how we came up with them. We looked at these chapters that we felt were important, and then we grouped them into our 4 pillars, which we're talking to you about the 4th one today, because we felt branding was, big enough, something that we talk about a lot, something we love to share, and something we feel that is very important and that we value in this industry. And we came up with subcategories of things that we feel is important to share about branding. So write down your story for each one, whatever that may be. And then, you'll be able to, like I said, identify those sub pillars for every single pillar. Like, what do you think of, if one of yours is leadership, you're in leadership maybe, and you love sharing about it. Maybe one of your sub pillars is your leadership wins. Maybe you like to share the leadership struggles, right? The raw, the real, the relevant, what me and Dracy come to do for you guys here. Like, think of all the different aspects that you could share there. And then once you have those pillars and those subcategories, you'll be able to have never ending content, because what you want to do is just every week when you're thinking of what am I going to post today, or what am I going to share today, pick one of your brand pillars, one of the subcategories, and just an aspect of it, right? It's going to be different every single week that you share, because you have so much content. You wrote a whole story on each of these pillars. Just take an aspect of your story. I like to think of it is, how if someone asks me, what is everything you love about your business? And you're going to list off every single thing. There might be 10 things, there might be 20 things. If you were to make a post on what you love about your business, you could make a post listing all those 20 things, or you could take one of those things, you could go into detail. Maybe it's just the community. Talk about what you love about the community in your business and why it's made a difference in your life. And then guess what? You still have 19 things to talk about in that same pillar moving forward in your business. So think about the never ending content you get from that, and just how much you actually have to share. And just remember that less is more. And by that, I just mean, instead of saying, I love all of these things, talk about just one thing at a time and expand on that. And that's, how you're seeing people putting out quality posts all the time. They have all this planned out, and you just have to make a nice content calendar. I want to talk about every single pillar every week, because those are the things that are valuable to you. That's how you want people to know you as you, and just choose a small piece of that story to share every single week. And you're going to have never ending content, and it's just really going to help you, figure out what your brand is. So Dracy, is there anything that you would add to that you feel like I missed, or just something that came to mind during that?
No, I just really wanted to highlight the fact that what we are doing for the Unwrapped Leader is role modeling to you on how to unwrap a brand. Right from, if you go from our very first post to even following us now, even following us, having our podcast and doing a book, just what we're trying to do is how you can do the same thing. And so we totally encourage you to watch what we're doing, follow us everywhere, and watch our little journey, because we started, I think we're maybe at 250 followers now, and so where are we going to be in a year and 5 years from now? That's kind of what the journey is all about, and we encourage you to do the same, because this is you in your business. So that's probably what I wanted to share about that, Teisha. So thank you.
Awesome. So that actually wraps up today's episode, and it wraps up our little series on our brand pillars. So we went over every single brand pillar with you guys, which means next week is book launch week. We are launching our book officially. As we said last week, it's still planned for July 6th. So our next episode will be all about our book. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And just so you guys are aware too, so us sharing these brand pillars, that means this is the content we want to share with you the most. So if you guys are actually following us on our Instagram and Facebook page, that's the type of content we put out every single week. So if you guys want to get to know more about branding or, oh gosh, Dracy, you're going to have to help me out. Mindset, leadership, and, the last one. Community. Okay, perfect. I was drawing a blank. I'm like, we literally only have 4. How can I not remember them? But anyways, our 4 brand pillars, those are the things that mean the most to us and we value the most in this network marketing industry. And we think it's something that should be important to you guys as well. So make sure you do check us out on our social media platforms, just the Unwrapped Leader across all of them. We are on TikTok. We're slowly putting up videos in there too. So if you do have a TikTok account, make sure you check us out there. And last but not least, if you guys aren't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us grow the brand, share this video, share our page. We so appreciate all the support that you guys can give us, and comment below your biggest takeaway, maybe even from all the brand pillars that we've shared with you. What were your biggest takeaways from them? Put in the comments. And if you guys are more of podcast listeners on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we would so appreciate a 5-star review if you've learned anything up to this point. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for tuning into episode 5. And we'll catch you next week for our book launch.
Yay! And if anybody wants to win one of our books, please go to our website, unwrappedleader.com. Get yourself on the wait list, because we will be giving away some books on our book launch next week. So thank you.
Well, I hope you guys have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye.